Rhinologist.
Rhine knows
Hop in the
guy.
comments and let us know.
We're gonna get a bunch of people that are like really into
Rhinos.
rhinos, yeah.
Or people that are just into eating boogers.
Yeah. You know, I think regarding like the number of booger question,
Well, in regards,
I think it's an honor system. You know what I mean? Like, you Hello, and welcome to the Bumpy Soup Podcast, a podcast that believes that at the end of the day, human beings are just animals, just simple creatures that are influenced by, the different subconscious parts of ourselves, other human beings in our lives, the media, television, all of that. Or to put it more simply, you and me, baby, ain't nothing but mammals, so let's do it like we do on the Discovery Channel. Getting horny now. I'm Alec. I'm here today with Emily.
Yoo-hoo.
Aqua Supreme.
Bump it up.
And back after a little break is Shane.
what's up?
We missed that.
Shane, good to have you here.
I'm so happy to be back.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's I've been looking forward to this for a long time. I thought it wasn't going to work out again, and then it did, which is sick.
Yeah, I'm really happy that you finally got out on bail. Yeah. Like, how's the murder trial going? And
Here's the thing, man. I would love to talk about it. You all know that I'm a chatty Cathy.
That's right.
But per the recommendation of my lawyers, I don't get to bring it up.
Yeah.
And we'll have to bleep this whole thing. No, man. Yeah, it's good. The stress that I've been dealing with is definitely good stress. I think it's really fortunate stress. And I'm happy to be back. I'm excited to talk. I'm excited for the watch of the week.
Yes.
I'm excited for all of it, man. But yeah, so in my absence, I have been really thinking about what it means to be a podcast host or a person on a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry about that.
Shane's shoe accidentally knocked my drink. It's all right though.
Yeah, we'll just spin that around.
Another champagne down.
Yeah. That was an affront on your dignity.
Yeah.
No.
It was actually me being
The ultimate
anti-alcohol
disrespect.
more than anything else. So I've been thinking
Shane's
about
Mormon.
in that
defaming you.
one very specific way. Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been thinking about what it means to be a podcast host and on a podcast, and specifically on this podcast, because we say this is a comedy podcast, and I believe that to be true.
Yes.
But canonically, as far as Apple Podcasts is concerned, we are a TV and film or TV and media or film and media podcast.
That's right.
Right. So I thought, okay, well, if canonically we are a film and media podcast, do we have enough film and media or TV and media or, insert those combinations of things, right? And I would say yes. The watch of the week is like half of the show.
That's right.
Right. But I think if we're going off like stakeholder rules where it has to be at least 51% ownership to own the company,
Yeah.
I have a couple ideas for that one last single percent
Okay.
to push us over the edge into 51%
Okay.
film and media and TV. So
If it's rating Anthony Fantano reviews already been
already
done.
got it.
how
A little
heartbreaking
late
would
to
that
the
have been?
pod.
Yeah.
So I actually, the first idea was that I would love to rate Scat's ratings of ratings.
Nice.
No. So this is a segment that I have called, for now, Father Ivory's Idea Corner.
Bum, 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 bum.
Yeah. So...
You're going to have to remember that. That's the theme song now.
Oh, trust me, we'll never forget
it. Yeah. Perfect. And so I really I was thinking about like, what could we do that's kind of media friendly or like media funny, right? Because obviously like I do want to do jokes. I'm not going to fucking do something really serious all of a sudden.
Okay.
Especially not on my first time fucking back. So the first idea that I have, and I wish I would have brought an example of it, but I really think this is the perfect thing for Alec. And the running title that I have right now is Alec's Plagiarism Corner.
Okay.
So essentially so it's pretty self-explanatory.
No, it's not. Explain it.
So what it really breaks down to is the idea is that you come to us as, let's say, the main director, the main writer for Good Show, right?
Okay.
I feel like you are kind of the most rightness, tootinest kind of guy in the group, right?
Root and tootin', yeah.
Yes. And so I love the idea of you coming to us for Alec's Plagiarism Corner or whatever you'd like to call it and be like, hey guys, this is how the interaction would go, right? Be like, hey, I've been working on something and I'd love to share it with you, right?
Okay, yeah.
And we'd say, oh great, yeah, we'd love to hear it. You're the writer, let's hear it, right? and then you would bust out something that you obviously did not write.
Oh, okay.
And then we all get to guess what it is that you're plagiarizing.
Okay.
Ooh.
Okay. So how about this one?
Yeah.
So like one of my favorite things is ghouls.
That's
Charlie Day.
Charlie Day. Yeah.
That's right.
Wow,
That's
nice.
right.
Great. Yeah.
Alex Plagiarism Corner has been.
Get plagiarized. Yeah.
Call the cops. All right. I like that. Okay.
So
Cool.
that was one idea that I had for Father Idea was Ivory's Idea Corner.
Okay.
The next thing that I have, I've got a list of them, and I only want to do maybe 3 that I have so far.
Okay.
And the next one that I really like is what I'm titling the shitty song recommendation.
Yeah.
Where anyone who has like a good bad song
Okay.
that they want to just like bring up
Okay.
just for the sake of talking about it. Maybe someone else has heard it. Maybe we could all sing along a little bit, right? So like a shitty song recommendation song
Yeah.
would be like, I would imagine like a Carly Rae Jepsen deep cut.
Okay.
Right.
You know, there's a lot of hardcore guys that are not happy with you right now because they love Carly Rae Jepsen. That's a surprising corner of Carly Rae Jepsen's market is hardcore guys.
Nice. And here's the thing, man. I believe that, right? I'm sure that she has some great stuff. I don't listen to her to know that the deep cuts are going to hit the way that they could hit, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So that was the second
I
one.
like that a lot. We
Yeah.
do sing-alongs
Yeah.
fairly frequently
So
on this.
this either can be 2.5 or the third recommendation, and that is a segment that I would call, "Hey, have you heard this?" And what you would do, and what you would do is you'd bring a song or something that you could either sing along, hum it, you could whistle it, whatever it is, right?
Okay.
And then everyone could say yes or no. And the idea is to make it as ambiguous as you can possibly make it, right?
Okay.
So it's kind of like the shitty song recommendation, except that instead of it being a shitty song, you are singing it shitty. Does that make
I
sense?
see. Okay, I got one.
Yeah, perfect.
Bum, 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 bum.
Oh, of course, the theme song of Father Ivry Ideas.
I didn't realize.
Yeah. So
Okay, cool. I like that.
So
I like
those
that.
are my ideas. The funny thing about this now is that you get kind of an ideaception sort of thing going on, because if I introduce the segment as Father Ivory's Idea Corner, I have to have ideas every week,
Right.
Which I can do,
Right.
but then how do we make the time for the segments that we like, right? And I guess honestly, this is great because I suggested it and you just did it anyway.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
that's kind of it. Yeah.
Time for Father Ivory's Idea Corner, and then everyone has to come up with something on the fly.
Yeah.
And it's always me.
Yeah. So that was something that I
I
thought.
love that.
Cool.
Hey, you know what? If you're listening to this in 2 years and you're like, this is one of my favorite segments, this is the genesis of it.
Yeah.
So,
It was a month-long break.
yeah, I hope that, nothing terrible has happened since then.
I want to know like what kind of power like this segment now holds. Like, can you like be like, oh, I came up with this new segment where Alec does a British accent for the rest of this episode, and like,
So I think
You're going to make me do some of that bullshit.
so.
This is
Again,
dangerous.
Stereotype.
to reiterate, the point of the segment is to give us that last single % for the stakeholder
see.
rights, right?
Yeah, that's
so, whereas your idea is great, we would have to be like, Alec, you have to talk like a character that speaks like that, right?
See.
Jason Statham,
Right, of
See,
course. And that's like a
Boy,
yeah.
that's stereotype.
I'm the podcaster. Yeah. So, tried and true.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love
But yeah,
that.
so that's where we're at. And if you guys want one more, because that felt like a 2.5 since it was
Another
so close,
one,
I have
please.
one more. Cool. This is my very favorite, and I'm excited to get to talk about this one. And this is a segment that I've titled, "Would you mind if I lied?" And this is entirely only for clipping. I just want to clip it. We post it on TikTok, and it is purely for the sake of trying to go viral, saying something that is absolutely fucking insane.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of arsenic at the bottom of the song.
Yeah, okay. I'm trying to think of like the best line I can come up with right now.
Yeah. Well, so because I've been seeing, there's like these podcast clips that go viral,
Yeah.
and then people make fun of them.
Yeah.
Right. And that's kind of what it was inspired by. So one of the big things was like this woman talking about making her man come all the time.
Yeah.
Right. And so another like girl gang podcast did like a parody of, and they're just like, you're going to get your your car washed, you're coming, right? You're gonna vacuum it out after, he's coming, right? You're gonna get a little drink because it's hot outside, he's gonna come, right? It's just like, because like the person before that actually was talking about making their partner come all the time was really genuine about it.
Yeah.
So, so the would you mind if I lied?
Would you mind if I lied?
Yeah, I think
I love that.
entirely for just saying stupid, crazy, insane shit. So, yeah,
we can be like, all right, now it's time for. What's it called?
Would you mind if I lied?
Would you mind if I lied? And then we all just get like 10 seconds each to just like make up something really cool.
Yeah.
Or just every week someone has to have a lie that they bring, and then everyone has to discuss it really seriously.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you guys know that the Egyptian pyramids are grain silos?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's where they stored their grain.
Well, and initially it was for corn, but unfortunately it doesn't really grow corn all that well.
They've been saying this forever.
Yeah, exactly. They had to pack it full, and then it got too big, so they started snorting it up like the Sphinx's nose.
Oh yeah.
But then they found that like the Sphinx was kind of getting jittery because
the nose fell off eventually, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So that was the problem.
No, it totally makes sense. Yeah.
Fortunately, Egyptologist like Ben Carson is bringing that back.
Yeah.
So we're
Which is
really
wonderful.
talking about like super important things now.
Yeah.
The mummies they found in there was someone trying to like Scrooge McDuck their way through all the grain.
Right,
yeah.
of course.
Exactly.
Yeah, or like a Squidward, if you will, when you first tried a Krabby Patty.
Of course, exactly.
No, absolutely. Well, and I think too, what's really important is that it's really more about food preservation,
Right.
And especially in an area that's so difficult to grow food anyway, right?
Yeah.
And like, I mean, it makes sense, right? People are trying to like debunk this theory, but like, have you ever tried to stack grain? Like it naturally forms into
pyramid.
a pyramid.
A
You know what I
pyramid,
mean?
yeah.
All they did was just like put some bricks around it.
Yeah.
And like, you have all these like archaeologists and like, mathematicians
Sure.
and construction experts and stuff that are coming in here trying to prove it wrong. But I don't know. I don't think they're grain experts.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. I doubt that they have even a single.
They wouldn't have made it in ancient Egypt.
Yeah,
I'll
they don't
just
have-
say that.
They don't have grain on the brain.
Yeah, no grain on the brain. Yeah, right.
Destruction experts. Oh man.
Yeah, all those general contractors.
Not grain contractors.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and I think too, another thing to consider with that is then most pyramids are for food storage, right?
Right.
So obviously, then if you look into
the
like
Luxor.
right, the Luxor,
Bella's Luxor. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Of course. And then you look at like some of the Aztec stuff, and that's going to be full of corn as well.
Right. Exactly.
Pyramid schemes.
Right, exactly.
for sure.
MLMs.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
MLMs.
Egyptian came from the Egyptians
I mean,
initially, right?
Right,
the
exactly.
LDS Church has grain silos. Like that's
Exactly.
literally it.
Yeah.
I think we've cracked the code.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So pyramid is the ultimate shape for food storage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me.
And that would be
And that's a fact.
That's a fact.
on pod.
On pod.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that, there you go.
Well, I love that.
There's a.
Yeah.
Would you mind if I lied?
That's really fun.
Yeah.
Cool.
So you guys mind? Did you guys mind that I lied?
I kind of minded it, but it's all right.
What happens if it turns out that like most of our lies end up being true? And we're
Well,
like,
so here's the thing. I've already thought of that.
okay.
Which is then into. Oh no, I forgot to write it down. I had a really great. It's essentially two truths and a lie. But I forgot what I swapped out the word for truth for something else.
Oh, two. Did it rhyme?
They probably did.
Okay.
I can't remember what it was. Yeah.
Two girls and a lie.
That's really good. Yeah, I like that. Yeah,
Two chains and a lie.
Yeah, two girls, one lie.
Two wolves.
I'm sure
Wolves and a
it'll
lie.
come back. It hit me while I was driving on my way to work. I'm sure I'll remember it tomorrow morning in that exact same spot again.
Yeah.
There are two girls and one cup inside of you.
Yeah.
One of them is puking and one of them is shitting.
Right. The two most sexual excretions.
Yeah. I would say pissing might be actually.
Well, is that two?
What do you mean?
I mean, I said the two most sexual excretions.
It's one of them.
There are
Right.
two different kinds
But
of
I mean,
pee.
That's
like
true,
there's debate about like what squirting is, and so like if it is urine, then that kind of counts as a second one.
I think it makes it better.
That's what you say.
Yeah. Would you mind if I lied?
I don't know. That's the second truth. It's quick. Someone has to lie.
Wait. Yeah, man. So that's Father Ivory's idea corner, and the segments that I was thinking of. We can incorporate those as needed, as wanted. It's kind of free reign at this point, right? So if someone's got a good lie, obviously bring it.
Speaking of segments or things that you bring to the table with your talents, Alec, I think, has a dream. he needs
Oh,
to
wonderful.
interpret it.
Great,
I
brilliant.
do.
I'm ready.
So before we start this, just so you know, if you want Shane to interpret your dream, go ahead and shoot us a DM, and he'll get on it.
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
Okay.
So I'm a little bit bummed that Patrick isn't here for this because he would love it. But a couple nights ago, I had a
Okay.
dream that I was hanging out with Tim Robinson.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
Me and Tim Robinson are driving around, right? And I don't remember exactly how, but he shows me a band that he's in. And this is like a Midwest emo band. And it's pretty sick. Okay.
He seems the type. That doesn't surprise me. The dude skateboards.
You know,
yeah.
he gets it. He skateboards?
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
like there's clips of him all over, like being
really?
skateboarding, like
Oh,
actually.
sick.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that guy from My Name Is Earl.
Oh, yeah.
except
Jason,
for he's not gonna. I don't know. Maybe he will name his kid Pilot Inspector, but I assume not. Jason Earl's insane, dude.
Yeah.
Jason Earl's not his name. His name is
Or Jason Lee.
Jason Lee.
Jason
Yeah.
Lee.
He's also in Mallrats.
Anyway,
Really good
your
actor.
dream.
Anyways, so
Jason Earl's from Hannah Montana.
right. So
He's
I have a
also Coach Frank in Skate 3.
Oh, okay. So I have a dream where I'm hanging out with Tim Robinson.
Yeah.
We're driving around. He shows me his Midwest emo band.
Yeah.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah.
Apparently they have a call and response thing. I don't remember. I woke up and told Emily.
Yeah.
It was like a ding dong, ding dong.
Yeah,
like,
going back and forth.
Yeah.
But the name of his band
Yeah.
is I Eat Boogers.
Yeah,
That's fucking sick. Hell yeah.
he goes
Cool.
hard.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Yeah, and then we ended up going back to his house, and his mom was there.
Okay.
And I got the impression that like I was kind of hanging out with him too long. Like he was being nice, letting me hang out because I didn't like excuse myself, but I was just like kind of kicking it with him for too long. And then yeah,
In your own dream. Damn.
so yeah, that's the dream.
Very interesting. I think the last line is the most important piece of it all.
Oh,
Right. So
okay.
a lot of times when my understanding with media, it seems that things like that, where you're listening to music with somebody that's on a TV show that you like, it really truly is mostly related to the fact that you probably listened to a cool band and watched his show within the last couple of days, right?
see.
A lot of times when things like that, like famous people show up, it's less about anything specific and more about your brain just like processing all of the shit you've been watching, right?
Right.
But I do think that you getting the sense that you've overstayed your welcome inside of this dream is very funny and maybe a little bit sad.
Yeah.
And I think that it is worth thinking about whether or not you have guilt in indulging in the things that you enjoy. Do you feel like do you give yourself enough time to enjoy the things you enjoy? Or do you feel like you need to be doing something more productive, or like something you feel like you should be doing something else, right? Like it almost seems like in reference then to all of this media thing, right? Things that you enjoy, obviously Midwest emo, obviously Tim Robinson, and probably driving around to some extent as an Uber driver, you probably liked it at least a little bit, right? So if you take all these things that you really like and you inside of the stream feel like you are overindulging or you overstayed your welcome, I think it's worth considering maybe that your ability to balance work and pleasure might be a little out of whack.
That's a good interpretation of that.
Thanks.
That's real good.
Yeah. I think that I do have some guilt around like not being productive all the time.
Sure. I think a lot of people do.
Yeah.
Not to
Yeah, no.
steal that from
And
you.
I think that probably it also applies to, with the Tim Robinson, with like kind of making like filmmaking,
Good
and
show,
that sort of
shit,
stuff.
yeah.
And then also with like the music, with making music, that sort of thing. How do you think it applies to a band name called I Eat Boogers?
Yeah, so I do think that that is just cool. I think it's just awesome.
Okay, cool.
I think that,
That
maybe
feels
it's
like I think you should leave sketch.
Yeah,
like he's
truly.
like introducing his
Well,
band, and they're like,
I think again then if you want to like look at maybe the difference between your maybe a potential inability to balance work and pleasure, I think that depending on who you talk to, eating boogers might be unpleasant.
Yeah.
And so you have this really interesting juxtaposition of like you are doing something you like, listening to something you like with someone that you think is cool, and they're showing you something that is unpleasant potentially, right?
I see. Yeah.
The other option is that it's just funny, and it would make sense that a funny guy would say something funny.
It's just funny. It's
right?
pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to ask Tim Robinson and his bandmates in your dream if they can think of a funnier band name. Perhaps I Eat 69 boogers.
Yes. If you're going to eat a specific number of boogers,
that's how
be
many it
69.
has to be.
69 obviously is it.
yeah, that's an amount that like you have to really work to achieve, but is like funny enough, right?
Well, it's also how do you even
stamina on so many different levels.
your booger production would have to be
It
out of
has to be
control.
through
Number
the
one.
roof.
Yeah.
I also am curious. How do you count a booger? Right.
When does it end?
When does one booger end and the next begin?
Every booger
I
is
think
the first booger you ever had.
Because it's all the same.
What's a nose doctor, nose scientist?
A rhino something, I'm sure.
Rhino
Oncologist.
something.
It's got to be, right? Yeah.
Rhinologist.
Rhinos
Hop in the
guy.
comments and let us know.
We're gonna get a bunch of people that are like really into
Rhinos.
rhinos. Yeah.
Or people that are just into eating boogers.
Yeah. I think regarding like the number of booger question,
Well, in regards.
I think it's an honor system. You know what I mean? Like, like I think if you're pulling out a booger and you're breaking up into like multiple smaller boogers, that's kind of like fucked up. But like, you got to kind of do it on your own.
Right.
Take one and cut it up.
Yeah, exactly. Like you
Yeah.
can do that, but like if you're really going
Mince
for the bit, come on, honor system.
Yeah, I guess honestly, here's the thing. I'm a judge, right? And it's a booger eating competition, right? And I'm taking my job serious,
Yeah.
right? I'm holding in all the giggles. I'm completely red-faced because I'm about to fucking pass out, right? Or I'm about to throw up. I don't know, maybe. I'm going per dig.
Interesting. Okay.
Right? You're going in, boom, 1, 2,
Right.
3. I don't care how much is on there. I don't care how little is on there. I think that it's going all the way in, all the way out, back in.
Even if there's two distinct boogies on one pole,
I
you're
think
still saying that's one pole. That's one boogie.
Well, okay.
It is. I guess it kind of depends, right?
I think you really get like one per nostril, right? So
Yeah.
you can really like at any time you can get like two. You can get a good one from one side, a good one from another side.
Yeah.
And this is a long-term game, right? Like you're not like you're doing it over the course of like weeks, months,
Sure.
maybe. If you're going for 69,
So it's
you're
not
really
a
gonna,
timed.
no, this isn't a time.
challenge.
It's like consecutive.
Exactly.
Yeah, that
It's-
makes
it's
sense.
over the course of the band,
Yeah.
and once they hit 69, then they have to disband,
Right.
I think that you could have like a little container that they have to fill up, and like that. This is like the equivalent of 69 boogers. Once you fill it up, you've had, you know what I mean, and then you
Right, but then they all kind of like
slurp
morph
them
into
all.
one, maybe slurp. Don't say slurp.
I'm not feeling very good right now.
Yeah. Well, that's our booger conversation.
Hey.
Yeah, there's something about that like made my tummy hurt.
Yeah.
Booger soup.
I feel like we could go into some more conversation with that, but I'm going to go ahead and make the executive decision to move on. Thank you so much for your
Wonderful.
interpretation, Shane.
Absolutely.
Again,
Yeah.
if you want your dream interpreted, go ahead and shoot a DM, and
He's real
Shane will
good.
do it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And we're going to move on to our next segment, which is Supreme 60 Seconds of
And your time starts now.
Okay, welcome to Supreme 60 Seconds of Soccer. Let's go. Firstly, Real Salt Lake changed the name of your stadium. Okay, moving on. RSL drew 0-0 with Seattle, but Apple TV still has MLS paywalled, even for Apple TV subscribers. So I didn't watch it.
What?
Fuck Apple TV. Fuck MLS. Anyways, moving
that.
on. Fulham lost 2-1 to Man City and 1-0 to Liverpool since the last podcast. Andreas Pereira and Tim Ream are both out for the season. Mitro is still out for another million games, and things are looking down, but we're past 40 points, so who even cares anymore? It's kind of a weird thing about promotion and relegation. Like the last 5 years of supporting Fulham has been like super stressful, up and down the whole time, and like I've been watching. But I said it's been like 5 years of squeaky bum time. But now we're mid-table, and it's kind of just boring. Like I'm really happy, but I also just don't feel like I have to watch every single game. I don't really know, but I'm happy about it, so that's fine. It's kind of weird, but I will still say bring Pro Rel to MLS.
Please be quiet. Please
Squeaky
be
bum time
quiet.
is over.
Squeaky bum time. God damn.
Hey, we're all thinking it.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, what is squeaky bum time?
You know.
So Sir Alex Ferguson, the Manchester United manager, it's like when you're at the end of a game and it's 2-2 and they have the ball and they're right in your thing, squeezing your butthole, squeaky bum time. Yeah.
Is that a term
I
you made
wouldn't
up, or
have-
is that like
No, that's
official
Sir
MLS canon?
Alex Ferguson.
Squeaky.
In the 90s, dude.
Squeaky
wow.
bum.
Yeah.
Bum. Squeaky.
Squeaky bum time.
Why is it squeaky?
Well, it's
Squeaky
like,
bum time.
like squeaky cheese.
Squeezy.
Like squeezing your squeaky. You're
A
squeezing
squeeze
so tight
is
that
not a squeak.
They're British. Don't act like they're gonna be logical. Come on now. Okay. So last time, or maybe the time before, something got kind of messed up here. But Emily got 3 points, and Brad and I both got 1 point for predicting an RSL win versus San Jose.
Oh,
3-1. So good job.
Hang on, because they played in Utah. Was that the one? Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Nice job. Okay. So now we got RSL versus Houston. Alec.
Houston. I'm gonna go with RSL 3-2.
Nice. All right.
Not 32.
Where are they playing?
They are playing in Houston. Emily?
I'm going Houston 2-1.
2-1 to Houston. Shane?
Disrespectful. I'm going 10. 10. Fun.
My God.
Yeah.
Wow. We've been missing the fun.
I feel like something just released inside me.
Yeah. Hey, really quick. I had a thought.
Okay. That was a bad idea, but yeah.
Well, I'm going 2-0. RSL.
Okay, great.
Go ahead.
So I know we talked about soccer already, but I do have a soccer thought. And the name of the stadium is America First.
America First Field, yeah.
Is it not just named after the credit union?
It is. But it's insane that the credit union exists with that name.
With that name.
And not only that, their symbol is an eagle looking to the right. You know what else has an eagle looking to the right? Like the whole Nazi
Jehovah's
regime
Witnesses.
thing.
Maybe like half of all pictures of eagles.
Yeah.
No, but it's like a well-known thing that
Right.
on like crests and stuff like that. It's insane that America First is just like, oh yeah, you can just say that and have it as a credit union. Like what?
Yeah.
Only Utah.
The problem is that their app is kind of a banger.
Is it good?
It's real good. It's a real good banking app.
You know, it's a shitty
You're an
app?
America Firster?
I am. I didn't know. I've been in America First.
I'm gonna be.
I
I'm
want
gonna
to be.
I'm gonna be real. That's me too. I didn't realize up until RSL like announced this is the name of their stadium. I was like I saw their Twitter post and was like, oh, this is okay. And then I like said it out loud to myself and went America First Field. That's
America.
oh my
First.
God, America First Field. I was like, anyways, yeah, I didn't even realize,
America
but it's
is
insane.
First for a lot of bad things.
That's true.
Yeah. We're first in not having good
Gun
education.
crime.
That's Utah.
That is Utah. Utah has the lowest
That was painful to hear
payment
from
per
Kevin.
student. We already talked about that.
It's insane.
The least
Yeah.
amount of spending per student,
Which is
even behind like
bonkers.
Mississippi.
It's nuts. It's. I mean, phew.
Yeah.
Or it was. It used to be that way. It could very.
This might be a
still
misinformation podcast. We're sorry.
Would you mind if I lied?
Yeah.
It was when Kevin was talking about it, them doing it 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that it's much better. My school experience was terrible here.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, so yeah, America First. It is the credit union then. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm a Mountain America guy, and their app is not good, but their credit union is great.
Which like let's say that Mountain was in a race. Which position do you think that they would take?
Ooh, that's a really, really good question. Well, I think that it would be the Usain Bolt.
Oh, so you think it'd be like Mountain America First?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mountain
You're
America
gonna
First.
get this podcast canceled.
Yeah, America First is stupid. It's a dumb name for a credit union. It's a dumb name for a field. But I also, I mean, like America's First would make more sense,
Right.
right?
America First is like the slogan of like
It's
a
a
bunch
far
of
right slogan.
It
America
really, truly-
First is a marketing slogan.
yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Right. It's a difference between
don't
like
wanna put
patriotism and
apostrophe in.
extremism.
Right.
Yeah.
America's number one.
I think we should cut out the 3/5 joke.
But leave that part in.
That's what we'll do.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you want to know what the America, go ahead and join our Patreon for spicier content.
Yeah, fuck, man. So another thing I've been thinking about, another thought that I had was, and it's been cracking me up for 2 weeks. So, it's funny thinking about it now. I have been imagining, I would say a woman, but I guess technically any person, right, who has an eating disorder. Let's say like binging and purging.
Okay.
Right? Like a pretty common one, kind of a big one. I've been imagining this person giving head and then immediately after getting up to go throw it up.
No.
Listen, we all know, we all have hurt someone in high
anyone
school, who threw up on someone. Yeah, like that. That's a thing.
But I'm saying they're not throwing up because of it. I'm saying
What's the calorie
they're
content
throwing
of?
up right because they have an eating disorder, and that's been fucking me up. It's been so funny to me for the last 2
That's
weeks.
awful.
Yeah.
Trigger warnings beforehand.
Yeah.
Hey, it's fine. I have struggled with eating disorders. It's okay. I can make jokes about it.
Really glad that Shane's back on the podcast.
Yeah. So I've been thinking about that. It's been cracking me up. Having to hide it from their partner too. Like, you have a problem.
Where do you go? I want to cuddle.
Yeah. So another option then is like, oh, sorry, I'm cutting. Right, I'm on a cut right now. Yeah, sorry, I can't suck your dick and eat your cum because I'm cutting.
Maybe.
Okay, I'm looking it up.
The caloric value?
Yeah, no. Well, a guy who's like, he runs out of whey and he's gonna hit the gym, so he needs to like bulk up. He just gets protein, so he's gonna go suck off all his other dudes. Yeah. Hey, dude, can you get me some protein?
I need my pre-workout right now.
Yeah.
Did you say protein?
No, I didn't.
Well, then I'm saying protein. Yeah, some protein.
Fight milk.
Yeah, fight milk.
Shane, what's your opinion on twinks?
Yeah, so I'm so glad that you brought it up.
Real quick.
Go ahead.
Typical ejaculation with an average volume of 3.4 milliliters contains less than 1 calorie. So it's pretty their eating disorder is pretty severe.
Yeah,
so it's eating disorder approved.
Yeah, so if you're
it's like celery at that point.
Yeah, if you're on if you're on a diet, you can just chug cum all you want, baby.
Yeah. Well, I wonder if it's like, kind of like Dr. Pepper 10, right? Number one, it's for men. Yeah, of course. But yeah, no, it's like more than I think 5 calories is the cutoff. Anything less than 5 is 0 technically.
Okay.
So the twink talk. So I have a fair amount of like queer friends. But I have a straight up gay hairstylist. So a lot of like my queer questions that I have, I end up going to him for them. And I think that like even the word queer technically could be a slur, right? Depending on the person, the context, whatever. And so I would imagine that twink is very much the same, right? Where sometimes it's empowering for people and sometimes it's not. It really kind of just depends. It's kind of like the F slur even, right? There's like a group of people that have taken it back and they use it as their own word. They call it, and like in that context, it's like technically empowering and good, right? So, but I also think that twink as a general thing, like if you're not using it maliciously, I think it's probably fine.
Yeah, I think
right?
that
like if you saw like
go ahead.
Sorry, yeah.
I think it's important to not censor words that are not slurs, right? Like, cause like it's like the joke that 30 Rock made and The Office made, where it's like where they're joking like, oh, Mexican sounds like a slur when someone says like, oh, where are you from? I'm from Mexico. They're like, oh, you're Mexican, and they can't say that.
Right.
Yeah, but like it's not, and the fact that it feels like that is bad. And I think it's the same type of thing where it's like it's just a term that describes a type of gay person.
It's the energy that's
it's also just funny.
Well, and I think I don't know, man.
It's a funny word.
Another thing too is like a lot of slurs for gay men, I think, have lost a lot of power. I think there at one point, and maybe there still is a fair amount of violence behind them, but I really truly think that like even the F slur doesn't have the power that it did. Right. I don't think that it ever will. I think that there's. Go ahead.
Just a quick bad joke. You said that there's a lot of violence behind gay men.
Yes.
Anyways, keep on.
Yeah, on their behinds, of course.
Right.
Yes. Or in their behinds.
Yeah.
Sure. Around. Yeah. Right. Yeah, so I think that twink's probably fine, but it's like if you were to like, here's the thing: if you went up to somebody and like, you fucking twink, I don't know that like that would be enough to even upset somebody.
Yeah, I mean,
isn't it usually just around their appearance? Right?
I think it's kind of a lifestyle.
Yeah, it's like if you walked up and you called someone, if you were like, oh, you fucking top, it's like it's a descriptive word. It's not like offensive, really.
That feels really vulgar. to call somebody a top.
Oh, you top.
You fucking That's making some assumptions.
Oh, what? You're just gonna fuck me? Oh, what? You're gonna be in charge? You're gonna be domineering?
That sounds like a come on, honestly. Yeah.
So I have a couple. thoughts
what? You're gonna hold me down?
Oh no!
Hope you don't spit on me.
Oh no! Please.
Hope you don't give me 1 calorie.
NSFM.
Yeah, there's NSFM for sure.
Sorry,
Shane's
Gretchen,
back.
if you're
So
listening.
NSFM. Okay, so I have a couple.
She's been really enjoying the last few episodes.
So I have a couple
Just
thoughts.
kidding.
So first thing is that I after that episode I actually went and did some research on it. And one notable thing is I searched on Google like, is twink a slur?
Yeah.
And there were multiple results of this because people have asked this, so which means that I think that the conversation we're having is like at least reasonable enough to have, because like people like kind of wonder about that. The second thing is that overwhelmingly on Twitter or on Reddit, the answer is no.
Right.
It's very much no. And that being said, what you said, where it can be used that way, absolutely. You know, if someone's going up and they're like beating the shit out of someone, yelling it, yeah, okay, sure.
Right.
But it's not like inherently one, and it actually is an empowering term.
Right.
And I think that another thing is that there's one of the problems with it is that it is kind of not body shaming, but it is like fetishization. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it is like,
you're labeling someone just off of how they look.
Yeah.
Unless you know them or you're saying about yourself or or you're like obviously a part of that community.
Yeah.
and I think that there's probably like a certain like a post-twink depression, you know, like postpartum depression, but it's like after you grow up and
I
like
think so.
no longer twink.
I think I've heard people talk about that.
So back to my conversation with my gay hairdresser, right? Who was a twink. Absolutely. Was empowered by it. Like it was a lifestyle choice. It was like on purpose, and it really was truly who they were, right? Or who they thought they were. And it like ultimately like the term twink, especially when they were using it then and even now, like ultimately was like a term of like empowerment, right? Yeah. It was like fuck it, like I'm a fucking gay guy, right? And I'm the gayest gay guy,
right?
Essentially, right? Like, and so for him, I think it was like cool and was like who he was, and ultimately was like a term of empowerment. Yeah, and has since like is not a twink anymore by like twink standards technically. Yeah, but there is this kind of like weird like almost gender dysphoria sort of, even though it's like not really, because it's this like ultra feminization of a man, but now you're like not. You're just a normal guy, kind of. Yeah. Right? But you're a gay guy still, but it's like, you're not the gayest gay guy anymore.
I think a really interesting term that I learned was twunk.
Okay.
Which is a hunky twink.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's modulations.
Sure.
On the term.
I thought that was like think and thunk, right? Like thunk in past tense.
Yeah.
Right?
A post twink is a twunk.
Yeah. Well, it's like when you were doing twink stuff. You twonked it?
Yeah. You're twonking.
Yeah, twonking.
I think that maybe the thing that we're kind of getting to, though, is like, are we allowed to say it without having to call it the TW slur? You know what I mean? Right?
I don't think it's technically a slur.
I don't think it is.
Well, yeah. So
Does
if
it
you
make
say
me uncomfortable
anything derogatorily,
to say a little bit?
Yeah, but it's again, if you're not homophobic. Saying it derogatorily, it's like the term cuck, right? Like it's pungent and it's a, you know, and is there and it's a big word. It doesn't mean that it's bad. It just means, and it's the same thing as it's like, if you're not using it derogatorily, then it's just a word that just sounds, it's like cunt, you know, it just sounds like pow, but it doesn't necessarily mean.
You said it and it grabbed my attention immediately.
We're gonna have some cunt talk later.
Absolutely we are for sure. Yeah, but I think that like the other thing too is that like twink doesn't come up outside of the context of like the queer community, right? Like there's no like I've never ever even thought of using the word twink for anything ever. And honestly, even like talking with my hairdresser, sure, like Twinkie, right? That's it.
Twinkle, twinkle, so like twink.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Something butthole wink. So I mean like I just I think that with most anything, right? Like if you're not saying it from a place of hate or a place of violence, then like it really, especially with that one being kind of like wishy-washy, I just can't imagine that it would be considered a slur. And like some people would be offended by it, but I don't think that it is at the end of the day.
So we're setting down a hard line that we are allowed to say
and
not have to bleep it out.
And more than that, you also are allowed.
You are allowed to. Unless you're like doing some violence.
Unless you're doing violence.
Bumpy Soup says
Don't
twink
do
rights.
Yeah.
Right, of course. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, twink rights. More than just twink rights.
Yeah.
All rights.
Yeah. Are you gonna all rights?
All rights matter.
Yeah. Is that what's gonna happen right now?
No.
Yeah. Well, it's not just.
White rights, or that's what you're saying?
No, I think it's worth talking about. And honestly, like I feel like the thing that I always come back to, because I listen to a lot of podcasts. I listen to Dan Savage, who's great, and he's a gay man, and he has a lot of like questions from queer people, and I think there's a lot of like cool conversations that can happen. But like at the end of the day, like go talk to queer people, right? And that, like, I think is like the best way to have like honest, like real conversations with someone who like it would actually affect, right? Because for the most part, like the debate on whether twink is a slur or not means nothing to any four of us, probably for the rest of our lives, actually, right? Like realistically speaking. And so
no one's ever gonna use the word twink at me. I don't think.
Maybe.
I
Never
can't
say never.
Someone who has really bad eyesight.
If someone out there wants to, jump in the DMs and call Emily a twink.
Yeah. It's more
I
like.
think that is important though, Shane.
Yeah. I mean, that's.
It's important that our listeners call Emily a twink.
But no, I think that like, that's like, like I'm a white guy. So the best thing that I can do is actually have conversations with people that it fucking matters with. So, right now, like that's an easy resource that I have that I'll have every 6 weeks, give or take, a couple days, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's my thought on that.
Cool.
Yeah, twink, okay, go talk to someone if you're really curious about it.
Yeah. All right, twink conversation over.
Yeah, perfect.
All right, so our watch of the week this week is Lunatics Season 1, Episode 1, which is titled Episode 1. It's on Netflix.
Is it really?
Yeah, it is. Shane recommended this. Shane, do you want to give a little breakdown of this episode and this show?
Yeah, so I think just breaking down the show is probably the best thing to do, because this episode really sets the tone for the rest of the show. It introduces, I believe, all of the characters. So essentially it's one guy, Australian guy, who has just like a bunch of characters that he's probably been working on for a while. And so the point of the show is that it's this like mockumentary style introduction to all of these different characters that he's working on. And so in the show you have this designer guy who worked in a retail store forever and is taking over his wife's parents' store, right? You have this girl who's 7.5 feet tall, going to college in America. And then you have an ex-porn star. And then you have a real estate company guy whose ass is giant.
And his whole family, the whole male line has thick
giant asses, right, of course.
And then the 12, 13-year-old boy who's inheriting.
Yeah. He's inheriting like a really a mansion or something.
Yeah. Lord Cunt. 0606.
Cunt Lord.
Cunt Lord.
Yeah. So, I really like this show.
And the psychic lady who talks to animals.
The dog psychic, of course.
The worst fucking unbearable character. I hate animal communicators as a concept so fucking much. I'm down for a lot of woo-woo shit. I draw the line at animal communicators. That's like, I will not believe it.
Why is that?
I don't know, man.
Dr. Doolittle, bro.
Yeah. No, man, I don't know. It's just like it feels fucking stupid.
You have literally
it's so
no
corny
way
to me.
to verify that
That's
any
the thing.
of that is
But yeah, no, so I really like this show, man. It was exciting to recommend something funny. No one that I know has watched it.
How did you watch it?
It showed up on Netflix just as I suggested. And I was like, cool, let's check it out. We watched like the little 2-minute preview, and I was like, this is awesome. Let's check it out. I love mockumentary as like a setup or as like a filmic device. Or like documentary now is fucking awesome. I love that. Even I guess The Office obviously is kind of mockumentary too, things like that. But I think like a mockumentary foundation for comedy is really, really great, and especially where this guy is exploring these characters.
Is Chris Lilly.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think that's a great foundation for the style of characters that he has, and like the way that they get to kind of interact with the real world.
So I have a question. So it like kind of cuts between. So we'll do like kind of a intro sort of segment, like series where or scenes where it introduces each character, and then kind of cuts back to like showing each of them and a couple different things like that. Is there ever a reason given to why these people are being like
selected to have
for
a documentary made? Does it make sense eventually?
Well, I don't think that that's ever actually addressed.
Okay.
With the people. So like, it's kind of like, it's almost
Lunatics.
like, I almost kind of feel like maybe the fact that they're going through changes is kind of what it's about, right? So it's this guy as he takes over his wife's parents' business, right? It's this girl as she moves to America to go to school.
Right.
It's about this woman who is out of porn now and getting into her museum or whatever the fuck, her collection, right?
Which is
and and then this is like a world famous or South African famous animal speaker, right? And then the kid, there really is no point. I guess he's inheriting.
He's moving from Australia to England, or he's staying there for holiday.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so there's no sort of like meta reason or whatever, like why these characters are selected. It's more just like this comedian specifically had these characters.
And this is And
I'm just gonna say that Chris's different voices for these characters are so fucking good. So good. Like, especially the ex-porn star.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I was able to suspend my disbelief on that one.
Well, and that one too, especially. So like, one of my favorite things about the show, and this is a really great example of it, is because as it's like setting backstory and tone, is like all these awful fake photos and fake like home videos of him, but as these characters. Yeah. And it's like, it's such a fucking funny thing to me. Yeah. Because like a lot of it isn't actually funny. It's entirely situational, right? Yeah. Like it's like the, especially like the Cook family, right? Or the Cooks, the real estate family. Like there isn't a lot of really funny stuff that happens even like throughout the season, but it's just like the fact that like this guy is a terrible real estate agent with a giant ass. And like, that's it. That's the joke.
That was just...
and like, it's that to me
it's just a fact of the family. Yeah. And it's in all their photos, and you don't even really touch on it much. You know what I mean? It's about him taking over the company and his mom liking his singing. And that's just like, you move past it pretty quick.
Yeah. For sure.
So I'm gonna make a little bit of a critique, which is that
go right ahead.
So you first find out that he has a giant ass, and his family does. In like, it shows like a little bit of their commercial, and it like shows them all standing there. You can see it, and then right after that, it goes into them being like, "Yeah, we all have fat asses," and like it explains that. And I wish that they didn't do that part where they explain it. I wish that it was just like they just have it and they never talk about it, and it's just like it's just there. I don't know, maybe that's just kind of like the kind of humor that I prefer is not having the joke explained too much. But
maybe the producer of this documentary asked about it.
Well, I think that a lot of the joke in the show is coming right out and explaining the joke. Like that's part of the comedy, right? I see. So because it's like, that's the whole thing, is like, even like with the girl going to school, right? Immediately is like, yeah, I'm 7'3". Yeah. Or like a little bit less than that, but even taller for wear heels, but I don't wear heels. Yeah. Right.
Plus like maybe that's part of the why, right? Yeah. Like that's kind of unusual. Yeah. Right?
Well, I think that like that character, like, I mean, I guess I haven't seen the rest of the series, so I don't know if like him having a huge ass is like the primary joke, because I feel like the primary joke is like he's this broy real estate agent, he's 29, and he's like, yeah, my main hobbies are EDM, working out, partying, hanging out, like, and I assume that that's kind of what they lean on a little bit more in terms of the comedy, is like that kind of like faux influencer trying to like be a cool, like it goes through his Instagram reel at one point, and like my favorite picture on there is he's like squatting down on a hoverboard.
Yeah. So that's the thing, is that it's like set up in this first episode as like major character traits, and is not at all. Okay. Is essentially abandoned immediately. He still has a giant ass for the rest of the show, but it's like, it truly like is the joke is the fact that they're explaining the joke, and now they're stuck with that decision. And the rest of the season, for all the characters, for all like the stupid shit that they do, it's like, it's the joke at the beginning, they're over explaining it, that is the joke, and now they have to deal with the fact that like they've introduced this concept and now it's there.
I see.
And it's like almost irrelevant to the rest of it.
Can we go through like each of the characters and talk about like maybe what we noticed?
Well, this is your guys' turn to talk, because I don't talk during this stuff. So you go sicko with it.
You're the one that introduced it. Also, I think it's really important to mention that Aqua did not watch the episode.
Right.
It was finals week this week, and I went to a graduation, and also I'm kind of logged out of my Netflix right now.
Yeah. So in usual form, school is to blame. Which is
good excuse.
It's a good excuse.
Yeah. Well, I'll start it off then with the retail store manager turned store owner. His style is very Karl Lagerfeld from Chanel.
Oh, right.
The guy with like the ponytail and the sunglasses. I think the late Karl Lagerfeld, I think he died.
Yeah, well, because that's what
so.
that's
The Met Gala theme was out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I learned this morning. I wrote down Australian Michael Scott.
Okay.
Just like with how he interacts with his employees and coworkers and stuff.
Yeah.
And I wrote down mannequin hug / suck. And I actually really like that because later on in his story, they're like taking family photos or something, and it like is looking at his family, and he's like, everyone has secrets.
Yeah, he says, everyone has secrets. I certainly do. And then it shows this really creepy like picture of him taking the photo. It's like, yeah, great.
And then he tells the secret. Which is it's funny given the context of like the mannequin thing.
Yeah.
But then it's like this cash register that he.
So he has objectophilia.
Yeah, objectophilia.
Objectophilia.
Where he's sexually attracted to objects.
Yes.
Yeah. And he finds a priest. He's wearing like a cross the entire time too, which is great.
Yeah.
And he essentially does conversion therapy, I think, for objectophilia.
Yeah, they have like the shock stuff on him.
Yeah. And he's like, and I was cured. I'm like, you weren't cured. No.
Yeah.
You're going to see an object in your father-in-law's store and fall in love with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what happens? Well, spoiler.
I'm just calling it now. I'm making a prediction.
Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious that it's going to happen.
Do I get a point
for
if
sure.
I get it right?
Yeah, and I think that the object that it is an awesome one. So
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's Patreon content.
yeah.
So I have a couple bits from that I liked. So when they're first introducing him, he's like saying goodbye to everyone at this store, and he's on this escalator, and he steps down, says goodbye to somebody, and steps onto the other escalator, and then he sees someone else like on that same floor. He's like, oh wait, and then he tries to get off it, and he like can't get off it because the escalator's going. He's like, oh well, I'll see you later.
Yeah,
it's a good just like physical comedy.
Yeah.
And then he's talking to this one lady, and he's talking about like this blouse or whatever that she's wanting to buy. He's like, that'll hide a multitude of sin on you.
Right. Yes.
Which is like a banger.
Such a good line.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then I really like that he calls, I think, is it Karen? Is that the name of the?
Yes.
That's the name of the cash
register. Yeah.
He calls her an old battle axe. Which is such a banger thing to say.
The way he describes he like describes him fucking the cash register in really scientific, sterile terms.
Yeah, what I love is that they do a reenactment of like him coming to it, and they use the actual people to do the reenactment, like of his wife coming in and finding him fucking the cash register. They use her and him fucking.
Right.
Yeah, it's like that's such a funny.
As someone watching a documentary, right? I'm like, oh, this must have been really traumatic to have them react to these awful moments, and they're
like one of the worst moments of her life.
Yeah.
You know, if you ever, I would never wish it on any person to have their wife come in and see them fucking a cash register.
Yeah.
Any comments on this one, Shane?
Yeah, so I love his character. The thing that I kind of think of with all of them is that like they are all insufferable kind of in their own way, right? And it like really gives hope to like, well, is there going to be some sort of like major redemption arc?
Is there?
I think it's worth watching to find out.
Okay.
I think is the best way to explain it. Because it really truly like you get little glimpses of it.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
But like at the end of the day, like the characters are awful.
Right.
They're really fucking awful. I hate all of them.
Yeah.
And it's like hard to watch. It's like watching cringy TikToks.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Right. But like that's like part of the magic of this too, is that like because it is so bad, it has like full circled into like being good.
Yeah.
So
the amount of like suspending disbelief I had to do is pretty extreme for this. And
for sure.
Once I like am able to accomplish that, I can actually kind of enjoy it for what it is.
Well, I think you get a couple episodes in and you kind of just like you just learn to accept that like these are the characters, these are the situation, because they really don't move around too much more.
I mean,
like, it really gets settled almost immediately.
It's I think a man in his early 40s, mid 30s. like pretending to be a college student and a 12-year-old.
Right,
Like,
yeah,
it's
that's
pretty.
Can I just ask, like, compared to like other movies like this, like Norbit, where where would you say this ranks? Do you think that it's a good one guy being all the different characters, or do you think that it's below that?
According to Rotten Tomato, it has a 10%.
Yeah, Norbit.
Lunatics has a 10%.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't know what Norbit has. It probably is better. It has
Well,
to
I mean,
be.
like, I think a large part of the bit of this is that it's clearly this same guy who's
Yeah.
like clearly like 40s, like doing these characters. So whereas Norbit, I think like that was actually just a character that Eddie Murphy was playing that like dressed up a lot more.
Jack and Jill, the Nutty Professor.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I have watched all of Lunatics and I haven't watched almost anything else you said. So for me, it's like...
Wait, you've never seen the Nutty Professor?
I've seen that.
Okay.
Yeah, but like I haven't rewatched it.
What would you
Right.
rate it?
Probably like a 5.
Okay,
Out of 10.
Wait. Never mind. I was thinking of Dr. Dolittle.
Wait, that's what I'm thinking of also. Fuck.
The Eddie Murphy version or the Robert Downey Jr. version?
Oh no, definitely the Eddie Murphy version.
What do you think of the Robert Downey Jr. version of the Nutty Professor?
I don't know that I saw it.
It's not real.
Yeah.
Should we move on to the college sisters?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
I didn't have many notes about this one.
So I think she's my favorite character of all of them, especially as you go into the rest of the show. Because she's such a nice girl.
Yeah.
In like a really awful way. In like a just like a pick me girl, but like that no one would ever pick ever, right? And just the fact that the concept of like
I'd pick her
of him like going to a producer and be like, hey, I've got a show idea, I've got some characters I'm working on, right? And they're all really fleshed out. And he's like, sick, what do you got? I'm like, well, we got a man, objectophilia, he opens a store with his wife, it's gonna be awesome, right?
I can see
you
that.
go through all the characters, you get to the girl going to college. It's like, I got a bitch and she's really tall. And they're like, that's it? Like, that's it. She's really tall. She's going to go to college. She's not going to fit in.
No idea is too stupid.
Apparently
Like,
not, man.
I think in that this is proof of that.
Yeah. And the thing that I love about that whole scene especially is like her dad having to fix the height of everything.
Such a good dad.
And because that is like the running bit of that whole character forever is like her having to like watch out, like do like the weird way that she like ducks under her shit the whole time.
Oh yeah, like the limbo thing.
Doing the limbo is great.
Yeah.
Very funny visual gag.
The way that the twins, non-identical, say everything in unison.
Yeah.
Holy
That's
shit.
good.
It's really good. And what's awesome is that the next it is immediately dropped.
Really?
That does not happen again for the rest of the show.
Really?
This is the only time it happens.
Well, they were living together until they moved to college, and then
they
broke
live in the same dorm, and I think that it really truly shows like the separation that they end up experiencing in the show.
I see.
And so it's like a funny.
You see a little bit of that at the end of this episode.
for sure. Well, yeah, I mean, absolutely. Yeah, your gain of independence and things becoming an adult makes sense. But yeah, I love that character the most because it's the shittiest character.
Yeah,
it is like the dumbest concept of a character, and it like is still captivating. It is still funny, and it's like a little bit heartbreaking too.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm just thinking about how one of the friends from the Facebook group meets her in person for the first time and says, "You're so tall." That's something people say all the time to each other for like meeting in person for the first time, but this time it's just like she's really tall.
Yeah. I had a couple thoughts. So one is that I like that her legs keep growing in thickness.
Do they keep getting thicker?
They keep getting thicker. Yeah. And the other thing is that she like talks about how she like, I'm tall, but I can't do any sport, but she's wearing a Leatherman jacket.
Right.
Like that's just like a good like stupid little bit. I don't know.
Letterman.
Leatherman.
That's the pliers.
No, I'm right.
Oh, that's fine.
You're not.
I've played sports. I played flag football. I played junior jazz.
Yeah.
I play Super Smash Brothers.
Esport, of course.
Esports.
Yeah. He's right about Letterman.
Fuck. What was I gonna say?
Want to move on to the next one?
Her sports and stuff. We can go to the next one.
Oh, just that they had an Asian exchange student and she's obsessed with Asian culture. Probably as a result of that.
Yeah, and there's some
she's
awesome
really
shit that happens with that too later on. It's really,
she's gonna go to China and be a spectacle.
Oh, she absolutely would be.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, let's move to the next one.
Sweet.
So this is the 12-year-old Gavin. There are so many like just good little things that he says that are so cringy, but also fucking funny, I think.
Yeah.
I wrote a couple of them down.
Cool.
Trying to smash fam. I'm trying to smash fam.
Yeah.
And then I'm not a shit cunt.
I'm not a shit cunt.
Yeah.
And then when he goes to the mansion, he's like, I could slam down some chicken nuggets. It's good. I love that he has a Kekistan flag in his room. That's like such a great.
What?
Yeah. You know what that is?
Oh, mm-hmm. Yeah.
The green. Yeah.
Yeah. He also had an eggplant emoji.
Yeah.
This character, this storyline, I already know it's going to happen. This is gender bent Princess Diaries. He's going to land a princess. I just know it. I've only watched the first episode.
Wow.
It's good, man. That character's a lot of fun.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean, I just like his swear words and how vulgar it is. Just talking about like fucking pussy all the time.
Yeah.
And he's 12 years old.
Oh.
He's so fucking funny.
Something about this character is, so this actor is like mid 30s, early 40s, and he's saying some pretty vulgar shit to
actual
an underage
real life
girl.
children.
Yeah.
Yes.
What?
Dude. So I can't remember. It all kind of mushes together. Have they introduced like the son?
Yeah.
Who's like kind of disabled?
Yeah.
Right?
Is that actor really disabled?
I believe so.
Okay.
Oh, is he? Okay.
I meant to look it up.
And it is such an important part of that character going through the rest of the show. And he says some of the most fucking insane shit in front of like a straight up kid with that guy. Cause like they are like side by side for the rest of the show. They're like inseparable. They're together.
He's like his sidekick.
Yes, exactly.
Well,
and
it was to the girl walking
He's
his
standing on the
friend,
mailbox.
his neighbor.
Dude, I know. Just like horrific
over
things.
I mean, it's implied the cousin wasn't there like in person with him, but the dick dance thing.
Oh yeah,
and I'm like, oh no, like this is just going to be something I'm thinking about and worrying about for this character.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really good like conversation, which is that like, you know, he's standing on that mailbox and he's yelling some things at this girl who's clearly like, she's actually probably about 12, 13, something like that. Yeah. And he's like, I want to have sex. I want to, you know, bring that vagina over here or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so, and I'm not sure it always was because it did cut to close-ups of him doing it. So it wasn't necessarily that she was there, but there were some times that there were wides.
There's definitely a wide where he says some crazy shit. Yeah.
And so the question is like, you know, is that okay? And, you know, I guess like if the actor, the young girl in this situation is like aware of the context and is able to like make the informed decision to do that, like yes, but is she able to
this is a child actor kind of thing, except it's magnified because of the content,
exactly,
right?
Well,
I know people who were child actors that are conflicted about being semi-famous for roles they played.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, like, did you ever watch Pen 15 on Hulu?
Yes.
Right, that's like another good example of like grown people playing kids around kids. Yeah. Right. And I think that really what it comes down to is just is like consent forms that parents have signed or not.
Right.
And that's like really it, right? Regardless of like the morale of it or the morality of it, like ultimately that girl's mom probably signed a form saying that it was okay for her to be on a
TV show on Netflix.
Right. Yeah. So like, and I also think too, like, I don't know, there are like some of the shit that he is saying as the 12-year-old boy, 13-year-old boy character, like 13-year-old boys say stuff like that. Yeah. So it's not like this girl has never heard anything like that. It might be insane in the context of like a grown man portraying to be a kid doing it, right? But I mean, like in the context of being alive and being 13, like kids do say that shit. So it's not like she's learning new words by being on this show necessarily. But at the end of the day, as far as like why it was able to happen, is that some mom or some dad signed a consent form and said it was okay. Yeah.
Also, there's some footage of him on his Instagram. He does like the backwards basketball hoop shot. I just wonder, one, if that's real. It looks like it was. And two, like how many takes had
how long did it take to get there? Yeah. But yeah, no, he's funny, man. the dope as fuck.
Yeah, dope as fuck.
Yeah.
But how he says he's like dope as fuck. I don't know, like just
can't even do it,
the
man.
accent also
It's
is just
so
like
crazy.
for this whole thing is just intriguing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's a really funny character, man, and I love that because I had I had friends like that. Like when I was 12 or
Little shitheads.
Australian friends.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
like I had friends that were like would say shit like that when I was 12 or 13. Because we were a bunch of just fucking cave boys.
Hey boy.
Yeah.
So related to the young girl thing is that, best case scenario is that this actor, the Chris Lilly, he like went and talked to her and was like, hey, so I'm going to be saying these things. I don't mean them to you. I'm playing a character. Are you okay with this? Like, you can see what I'm going to say. Is this fine? She's like, yeah, that's totally okay. He's like, okay, I just want to make sure that you're comfortable.
Yeah.
Right. That's like, I think the best case scenario for it, which maybe that happened. Maybe it didn't. I hope it did.
Right.
Well, what we know for sure happened is the little girl, or probably her parents, got paid for this, so they knew what they were getting themselves into and said it's worth it. Like I'm sure they did their due diligence with that. Yeah.
Well, I don't know that it's worth assuming that necessarily.
Right. Exactly.
It probably is worth. So one of the things that I just thought of too is there's a kind of a newer job that is showing up in film production called intimacy coaches.
Yep.
Right.
Or
and
consultants.
or
Something?
intimacy and then a C word that isn't cunt. So
Intimacy coach.
just to clarify. Yeah, they could be cunts.
Intimacy COVID.
Well, that
Can't say the C word.
Oh shit.
That one wouldn't exist.
No, we're cutting this. Patreon got it.
No, and so the show is produced. Go ahead.
Intimacy coordinator.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this show is recent enough, 2019. There's a good chance that there could have been something like that for.
Yeah.
I think
there's
so. Especially if Netflix produced it.
Right.
Yeah.
And then even going forward into like then the ex-porn star, there's like some intimacy coordinating that needed to get done probably, right? So it makes sense that maybe they could have brought something on. And even, for this where it's not like physically intimate, it is sexually explicit, which I think kind of requires a level of intimacy to some degree.
Absolutely. Yep.
So
You want to move on?
I like how the aunt and uncle don't seem to feel surprised that he's a little shit cunt.
Yeah.
They're just very accommodating in the first episode. I'm excited to see. I want to keep watching and see what happens.
The small bit of where he's like, well, our son is incapable of doing it, and our daughter is a girl, so she cannot be the person who takes on the inherits it.
Yeah.
Good little bit about being how stupid that is.
Okay, so I don't have much about the real estate thing, except we've got massive arses.
Yeah.
I love that he's a DJ.
Yeah.
Because I know real estate agents like this guy.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
I bet.
The
Like,
ponytail.
Dude, like guys like that are like out of touch, that are terrible people, and also DJ.
yeah.
So it was really funny to see this. Like, it's like that is nothing else has been a trope whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
But like this character for me in the like world that I work in, like is a true trope.
Yeah.
And so it was really funny to
just
have
say their
that
name,
connection.
we can just bleep it out.
No, I'm not going to. Yeah.
Say their name. We'll bleep it out.
No,
Kyle.
Yeah, no. I feel like I've talked enough shit
It's
on my
Kyle.
work that I don't need to anymore. But and it's not really agents that I shoot for all the time. It's like other agents that like have hired our company.
Right. Yeah.
And so it's like even like well beyond anything I could say at that
To
point.
be fair, like real estate agent, like it's definitely the type of job that's going to attract those types of people. I feel like
egomaniacs.
Like it's like one step away from being a landlord, but it's also like you get the adrenaline rush.
Yeah. The chase.
Yeah.
What I want to know is Succession spinoff when? For the father passing the CEO title to this guy, and then two other sons.
Yeah.
One agrees with everything he says and like hypes him up, and the other one's like asking if that's a real word.
The other one's like glaring at
Yeah.
him. Yeah. Does that dynamic continue of like one son, one of his brothers trying to like suck up to him, and the other brother like disliking him?
Yeah. Well, and then what's great is they introduce like an assistant.
Yeah.
Who is actually the most competent person of the whole team.
Oh, I bet.
And so you get this really interesting like power struggle between the son who's going to take over, and this assistant who is like infinitely better than him at his own job, and like being undermined by it, and kind of just like seeing how clumsy he is anyway, and then when it's really in his face, just like how poorly he reacts. But yeah, so the brothers continue to be there through all of it. They all suck still.
Is the mom attracted to him?
I was wondering that
so
too.
That
The
felt
vibe
implied.
is a little.
It never really turns into anything. It like
doesn't go anywhere.
No, it like is almost immediately dropped. Kind of too. Like the thing is like even like the joke of having a big ass like is gone almost immediately. But it's just like you introduced it, so now everyone still has a giant ass.
I see.
Okay, do you want to move on?
Well, one other joke about him is that he's at the open house and he drops the cupcakes. He's like 5-second rule, and he like picks up the cupcakes. And he's like, "Do you want this one?"
I don't know if I found that like super fun. I don't know.
He's so fucking awful. He's so bad at his job.
Very terrible. Yeah.
It's like they couldn't drive home the point more of just like how much that dude fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Okay, so ex porn star.
Yeah.
I think like this was one I liked a lot. Like I like Chris Lilly's delivery of this character a lot. I think the way he changes the speech is just really good.
Yeah.
I don't remember how it sounded, but I wrote down the way she says stars, like stars.
Oh yeah.
But she says it in like a stylized way. Oh no, that was for the animal medium. Oops. Okay, so for the ex porn star one, going through her house and she like kind of runs down the hallway and it's like kind of chaotic.
Yeah.
Like there's a little more camera shake to this one.
Yeah.
It feels like that character's a lot more off the cuff than most of the other characters.
Yeah.
I feel like if I had to break it down to like the two most improvised, it would be the store owner, the fashion guy, and probably the porn star are like the least scripted would be is what I would imagine. Because it is so chaotic. Right? Like it really
like showing her collection and like how she like poses up against the door. She's like, my corn cob holders. I lost it at that. Eat seed bitches. Like, come on.
Right. Throwing seed at the birds.
To try and scare them away.
Like that's go away.
Like that's going to scare them away and not bring them back.
I've also daydreamed about like turning a space that's an absolute shithole into like something prettier too.
So I just want to mention that the set design in that house is fucking off the chain, dude. So fucking
insane.
good.
It's unbelievable.
They rented a house or bought a house.
I mean,
filled it with shit.
Yeah.
Well,
they found an actual fucking
right.
hoarder
It looks
collector.
like they found it because it's so like it's not just
you
like
can't
filled
set dress
with shit.
that well, can you?
It's like set up into like sections, and there's like kind of like older grime and like newer stuff and segments, and there's like sections. It's so fucking
feels
good.
storied. Yeah.
Like I feel like they spent like all of their set like production design budget on making that house just a bang.
I mean, it truly feels like someone mentally ill lives in that home and has like created a collection.
Absolutely.
It's unbelievable. Yeah.
The writing on the whiteboard thing was fascinating.
Very weird. That continues through too, which is a lot of fun. Yeah.
That seems like a good.
Is her boyfriend introduced in this episode?
No.
Okay, cool.
But imaginary friends are.
Yeah. Okay. Nice.
I do really love the idea that like her plan. She calls it the collection. Like this is the collection, which is like a really good name. And the idea that she has like this shed that she's going to like turn into a collection that people will
into the museum.
Into the museum. It's so fucking good. Yeah. She also has a couple of lines I really like. That like her introduction is she's going out to get the mail. And she's like, "Give me the mail. I'm the Hamburglar."
With her mask on,
and then she gets back in and she's like on the little loudspeaker, the mail is here. She announces the mail's here. In general, that entire house fucking rules. The entire thing.
It is like telling the story of a mentally ill person.
Truly.
And like it seems like the dynamic between her and her sister is probably really interesting. I'm sure it gets into more into that as the season goes on.
Well, I mean, it really feels like what you see in a lot of like hoarders in real life, right? Where like you have this person who loves someone so much, but like can't really do anything, and then on accident enables them because of it.
Right.
And so you kind of see the same sort of thing.
And it seems like there's also a dynamic because like they were a team, and then she took off, and the other sister was like left behind.
Right.
So she's like kind of been in her shadow the whole time, and now she's like supporting her emotionally, I would say.
Right. Yeah.
A complex
Exactly.
relationship.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm interested to see how things unfold for that character.
Yeah.
I would say
Anything else for?
I would just say that that's probably my favorite character, if only because of the set design.
Yeah. I mean, truly, it's insane. It's so sick.
Yeah.
We've got the animal psychic.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the one that I hate the very most.
Yeah. Why do you hate this one so much?
Yeah. So it like is awesome because you have this really interesting juxtaposition of like a hyper professional famous person saying horrific things to these people's faces under the guise of it's what their animal is saying to them.
I wore a striped shirt for this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And the reason that I love this character but hate this character is that kind of towards the middle end, and not to spoil anything, but it's really important and really fucking funny. Her dog tells her that she's transgender or he's transgender.
Really?
Yes. And her dog gets gender affirming care.
Oh
my God.
Holy shit.
And like, and I hated that character and the concept of that character so much. And it's like, oh, of course, that is like what the pinnacle of that kind of character would eventually get to, right?
Well, even the first episode is hinting at that kind of.
Right.
I laughed out loud maybe twice during this episode. One of the times was when she's like showing how much she loves her dog and like planting a bunch of kisses on its face. I'm like, oh, I do that to Daisy every once in a while.
Yeah.
Like, I love my dog.
Yeah.
And then she like goes over to the other corner of her house and she's like, I had so-and-so, my other favorite dog, stuffed. And then I also made a little shawl. And so-and-so likes to wear the shawl. It's like so fucking demented.
It's like putting a dead brother on.
Yeah, it's so bad.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, but it's really funny to see this woman go and just say horrific, evil, mean things to people.
Yeah.
And her like be rich and famous because of it.
Yeah.
So
there are people that do this.
Yes.
Like,
and she does like the it's almost like a bit, but it's like a psychic bit where she's talking to the dog. She's like, I'm seeing a T. Is there any T?
J,
maybe a P, a Z,
Yeah.
a J, a James. And like
that's what
T,
they said.
And then like P rhymes and then Z rhymes. So it's like almost like you do. And then J is just does not
the
rhyme.
most common
but
first letter
it,
for every name.
looks
Yeah.
like a T. So now like, does she hear it or does she
see it?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is just like.
Yeah. That's fucking hilarious to hear what ends up happening. And that's horrifying too. And
it's so stupid. Yeah. But no, man. That character is a lot of fun.
those dogs are cute though, especially the one that's her favorite. Like,
oh yeah, the long hair.
I don't know if they like trained them to do that, but like it did like a little play bow near the end.
Right,
I'm like, oh fuck,
well, so
that's cute.
my first thought with that is like when you look at or when you think about like Hollywood dogs or acting dogs, the situations that they're in are kind of like not like this, right? Mm-hmm. And
this is probably a little closer to like the environment they're used to, except for the cameras.
Except that it's like it's so fucking chaotic, and I feel like to play that character, you really have to embody a lot of just like weird fucking energy, and so it's crazy that like this woman can just sit there and pet these dogs like she does, and like the dogs are just like normal, and she's like saying crazy shit, and like the vibe would have to be like horrific for like a dog who can only sense vibe, right?
Yeah.
Even like a trained acting dog where it's like, oh, I'm like a rescue dog or I'm playing basketball, right? Like those things like almost make more sense.
Yeah.
But like in the context of this, it doesn't fucking make any sense at all because it's not like a Marley and Me, right?
Right.
It's not like, I don't know. Airbud. Yeah. Basketball, right? So yeah, that was my first thought with this is just like these dogs are really well trained, especially dealing with someone who I can't imagine having to be around, kind of, right? So,
the Airbud thing just
Beethoven.
made me think of like someone being like, yeah, LeBron James is like the Airbud of baseball. or basketball.
I don't know if you know this, but Christian Pulisic, who's a soccer player, there's this big clip going around because on Pawn Stars, someone brings in a Christian Pulisic jersey and he goes, "Oh, that's that young phenom, right? The LeBron James of soccer." And anyways, it's really funny that you said that, the exact word for word, LeBron James of soccer.
Amazing.
Oh, I said baseball.
Yeah,
I meant
yeah.
basketball.
Accidentally,
But
yeah.
Funny.
Anything else?
So big shout out, like with any sort of mockumentary, big shout out to the editors, because there's tons of like things that they just have to kind of piece together all these different shots of them trying to be funny, and they really have to decide what are the funniest kind of bits and kind of put it in place. There's obviously directing and shit like that, but it really is like trying to find the best kind of pieces to show, especially the things that aren't objectively funny, but more of like showing character, you know.
It's still important to the story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of tough too, because it's like I could have recommended maybe like a funnier episode, but
This is important.
so much context to even get to the point where like you could watch the show and understand why it's funny.
I was thinking
kind
this
of, right?
before we started recording. I'm glad you did episode 1.
Yeah, because we for sure could have done a later
It would
one.
have been impossible.
You have to have that context so much more than like maybe some of the things that we've recommended. So
yeah,
my hope is that people watch some more of it. It's really fucking funny. No one that I know is watching it.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna watch it and then I'm gonna give my notes on the next episode.
Perfect. Oh, good. I was gonna say I had a question for you, which is like after hearing this, who is your favorite character?
Well, I don't like the dog whisperer girl. On some ways, I feel like the little kid running around. Like I just feel like that's pretty funny.
It's pretty funny. Yeah.
That's going to be a good arc, I think.
Yeah.
I kind of think
it like gets into like making his own music and shit, and like
Sick.
and brings in the cousin too, and there's a lot of really funny shit that happens with the two of them.
Yeah.
So it's a good character.
The last thing I had to say that I actually really liked was the way that this opens and closes with the letterboxed opening, and then closing. Like I just really like that effect. It's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think to like my specialty, I think it's shot really well. I love run and gun, and I think it makes so much sense that this is a mockumentary style. And I think it looks really good. It sounds really good.
Yeah.
And production wise, it just looks normal good.
Yeah.
So
if you're if you're browsing Netflix and you're part of the 10% on Rotten Tomatoes that would like it, go ahead and check out Lunatics on Netflix.
Yeah, my 10%.
Worth a watch.
Yeah, I'd give it way more than 10%.
Oh, really? What would you expect?
Well, I mean, I'm not surprised it was 10%.
Yeah.
I get that it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
Right. The thing that's funny about it is that it's not funny, kind of. You have to just really enjoy the character, the concept of a character, sort of.
Which you don't think 10% is the wrong rating on Rotten Tomatoes, but you would give it a better review.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Absolutely, I would. Yeah, I mean, I'd probably give it like 4 out of 5 stars.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe like a funnier percent.
Maybe like 69%.
6.9, almost 7%.
Yeah, 6.9 out of 11.3. I think is how that math would work. to be right. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, are you guys feeling like naming this episode? Or do you have any final thoughts?
Would you mind if I bump? I don't know.
Maybe like I feel like something with I eat boogers.
I bump boogers. Yeah.
What's one of the good jokes?
I wish we could use the C word in the title of an episode.
Yeah.
I eat cunt? What
Cunty soup?
Oh, cunty soup. Okay.
That's
I don't think we want to name it I eat cunt, but I appreciate that. Yeah.
We also could call it Would You Mind If I Bumped?
Yeah. Mind if I bumped?
Yeah, would you mind if I bumped? If we talk about...
Would you mind if I boogered? Would you mind if I ate boogers?
That doesn't really reference the show at all, but it doesn't have to.
I mean, we could also just be like, I guess, yeah, that's true, huh?
Yeah. Well, it's only called Lunatics, so you have to do something with Lunatics, unless there's like a character in it specifically.
Bumpy ticks.
Like, I don't know if we want to always have bump in the name of it.
Yeah.
Something with objectophilia.
That's what I'm thinking too. Yeah.
Karen.
Would boogers be included in objectophilia?
I fuck boogers.
They are objects.
Are boogers vegan?
That is a good
animal product.
I would say no.
I believe that the difference is the consent or the lack of.
Okay.
Because
really?
I'm so sorry to say this. I'm pretty sure cum is vegan because the consent is involved with it, even though it is an animal product.
Right, because that's the whole thing with it.
So
right?
I take it
It's
back.
not,
I figured out
don't eat
boogers
animals.
are
We're
vegan, it's
circling
fine.
back to the very beginning.
Yeah.
We're all animals.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, can you get consent to take boogers out of a dog's nose?
Comfy soup.
I hate this.
It's a fucking word. Welcome back, Shane.
Do you trust us to take this discussion and find a good episode
maybe
title?
welcome back,
I
Shane.
think it's all right.
Welcome back, Shane is great.
Yeah.
Oh,
We also WELCUM.
WELC.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Oh, welcome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe something with the collection.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Well, we'll figure it out.
You'll know what it is.
Y'all will know.
Yeah.
Where can people find us, Max? Aqua?
You can find us on Instagram at Bumpy Soup, Twitter, Bumpy Soup, TikTok, Bumpy Soup, Facebook, we're on Bumpy Soup, Patreon, Bumpy Soup, we're on IndieFlix,
show.
YouTube, of course. Yeah.
Of course.
That's right. Yeah. Hey, well, thank you for joining us for this episode.
Yeah, thank you.
And remember to just keep doing it like they do it on the Discovery Channel.
And bump it up.
And shout out to Scott's new baby. Sequence is going into labor tonight. I don't know.
Oh my
yeah.
God.
Yeah. So
That's exciting.
Shout out to Scott's new baby.
Sick.
yeah.
All right. Bye.
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 Shout out OBGs, YNs.